It's a unit that's figuring itself out. And
well, when are you going to figure yourself out?
Well,
that's the whole point.
No, the point is though, but the guys are getting plugged and played, and I know how different it can be once
we're
it's
halfway
like
during the season, and you're talking about figuring stuff out.
Figuring stuff out.
The Orange Zone, sponsored by Billy Whitaker Cars and Trucks.
What's up? What's up? Welcome into the Orange Zone podcast. We are back. Syracuse football is finally back this week after a bye. I'm Tommy Sladek. We have Samantha Croston. We have Super Bowl champion James Mungro. And as always, we have Brendon Hodges on the producer mic. This is the award-winning Orange Zone podcast. A reminder, you can find every episode, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you want to get it. We're all over social media. And let's get right into it. Syracuse at Virginia Tech. It is Thursday night college football, baby. We're heading down to Blacksburg, Lane Stadium. How are we feeling, guys?
I'm feeling like I can't get it off my mind that Mungro called me a blueberry.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, if we could get a zoom in on the blueberry. I did not mean to match, but I am matching the blueberry, but you're getting a lot more heat for it. How do you feel?
I know. I mean, I like this shirt, so I'm not going to let a little bit of criticism bring me down.
Yeah.
But as far as a Thursday night game, I feel like that rocks. I feel like, especially coming off of the bye week, something that I heard a lot from players today is that they were saying they actually feel like it's the perfect amount of time that has passed. Because, again, if you're waiting now until Saturday, it's almost like it could end up being too much time. Have you been out of the rhythm for too long? Garrett Schrader saying that because of the Thursday game, they will now have more time on the opposite end of that to recover for the next game. So he likes it.
What's your take on the Thursday game?
Well, first off,
you're coming off a bye. Good to see you.
It's a new week. It's a new week, so I have a better attitude. But what you said before, Samantha, about the timing part, the timing is terrible already. So therefore, the whole timing part, they should maybe wait to 2 more weeks to play to get the timing correctly. But they play this Thursday, so at Lane Stadium, it's going to be a packed house. It's going to be rocking. It's going to be a great atmosphere for football. I feel like they may have some trouble down there, unfortunately, just because the crowd noise. But hopefully they got their stuff together over the past 2 weeks, and hopefully be able to see some good, let me repeat that, some good Syracuse football.
See some good Syracuse football. We won points. Oh, man, do we won points. But,
yeah.
But let's talk about Lane Stadium for a second, because this is the type of place, right, where Virginia Tech could be 1-6. Yeah. The team coming in could be 6-1. And especially on a Thursday, as we're going to be getting into with Ashley Wenskowski interviewed their play-by-play guy. He's like, Thursday's just a different beast. And at night and in Blacksburg. This team comes into the stadium to enter Sandman. So check that out by Metallica.
Unbelievable.
If you've never watched it,
unbelievable.
It'll send chills down your spine. So this is a big one for them. And would I have preferred for them to have this game be, maybe 1 week later? Yeah, no doubt, because it's one of those where I think they could play fine,
nationally
but
televised.
It still just might not be their night because of, again, the situation in which they're playing. So taking a look at Syracuse's remaining schedule, it's at Virginia Tech on Thursday, Boston College, back in the Dome, Friday, November 3rd. It's been over a month. And then versus Pitt, neutral site at Yankee Stadium, at Georgia Tech versus Wake Forest. Now, ESPN's FPI puts them as one of the easiest schedules, if not the easiest schedule of any Power 5 team. But, again, they need to get it done versus this team. So let's get right into Virginia Tech and what you need to know about them. And welcome the Hokie Nation, if you are listening. They're 3-4. 2-1 in the ACC, and that's the important stat there is, yes, they have a losing record right now, but they are 2-1 in the ACC. Syracuse is 0-3.
Yes.
And that, to me, plays a big role, not just in that they're home, but why they're a 3-point favorite in this one. Brendon, I'm going to bring you in. What sticks out to you about Virginia Tech? What do you think is the big story?
Well, we've talked all season long, and it really started with the Clemson game about how records don't tell any sort of story when it comes to college football. I think at that point, Clemson was 2-2 when they were coming into the Dome. Was I right about that?
Yeah. It was around there.
Yeah, and now you're looking at a Virginia Tech team that has, for the last couple of years, I would say it's fair to say been in the doldrums of the ACC, but under their new head man, Brent Fry, they've turned it around. Already as many wins as they had all of last season.
Wow.
He's making waves down there. They seem to like him, and that's not to say there aren't questions on this team in terms of personnel and who could potentially see out the rest of the season behind center. But fans have an idea, and I think it's going to be a big test, especially for the Syracuse offensive line when Virginia Tech's defensive front comes out on the field.
And the offensive line is one of the things that Dino Baber said he did like from that Florida State game. Again, he had to try to search for some positives there, but again, they were definitely a part of the LaQuinn Allen story and why he was certainly our MVP out of that. The run blocking definitely improved, and of course, we want to see even more when it comes to the pass blocking for Garrett Schrader, who we're hoping is just looking a lot more healthy, which I'm hoping is the case. But Virginia Tech, again, season opening win against Old Dominion, dropped 3 straight to Purdue, Rutgers, Marshall. Purdue is where we have that comparison, right? Syracuse taking on Purdue, getting that big win on the road, Hokies falling to them. Then came ACC wins against Pitt and Wake. Pitt is scrappy. They also had a loss to Florida State in there. So again, I look at some of these teams, like Marshall's not a bad team. Like it's a good team. This is a good team. I think they could potentially be, a type of team that does end up still going to a bowl game. I would be very surprised if they don't. And then looking at, Brendon, what do you got player-wise for us? Is this QB? I was looking on Twitter. People seem to like him.
Kyron Drones.
What a name, by the way.
That is a great
name. You like that one?
I do.
Only starting because the original starter, Grant Wells, went out in that Purdue game with an injury. Mm-hmm. Let's call him a true dual threat. He can throw the ball, and he's thrown the ball better every single game he started. 5 starts this year. Has only thrown 1 interception. That was in the first one against Rutgers. Since
That's
then,
big.
5 touchdowns, no interceptions. 2 and 3 as a starter. Take with that what you may. But he's gotten better every week, and he's coming off what is maybe inarguably his best game of the season so far. Plus, he runs the ball a ton. Virginia Tech, not necessarily a prolific running team, but he runs it. 2 backs run it, and he has plenty of weapons on the outside to choose from against a Syracuse secondary.
Well, I got to ask a question for you, Brandon.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do they do then if they only throw the ball 65 yards a game and they don't run the ball that much?
No, they run. He runs the ball 65 yards a game.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah, that does
gotcha.
clear that up. I was like, hold on, something that might be the worst in the FBS.
That says Drones has carried the ball an average of 17.4 times for an average of 65.8 yards a game.
Yeah,
carries.
Because what I remember is Virginia Tech, always running the ball. It's predominant a run team. Dating back to Vic and
big history of mobile quarterbacks there.
Yeah, 100% right. So I don't see him throwing the ball that much. I think our defense is going to have to stop the run. I mean, that's going to be in special teams. It's going to be a big part of the game.
Big time. And granted, we had our first big hello, my name is Garrett Schrader moment to the Syracuse fan base, and it was down in Blacksburg 2 years ago. You guys might remember this. That was that last drive. It was Schrader to Alford. Schrader got nailed on the throw and was able to complete it. They were able to get a win. But I believe that was a noon game, and it's just a different feel.
It was.
Different team.
What was the stadium for you in college that stuck out to you as being the loudest or just the toughest environment to play in? How does this team get ready for that?
Well, like we're talking about with VTech, I mean, that stadium down in Lane Stadium, it's just the way the stadium is built. It's just a great atmosphere for football. I mean, the fans there, the fans are right on top of you. So I think penalty is going to be a big play, a big factor for Syracuse of staying on sides, not jumping off sides, stuff like that. But, again, if you're winning and you're doing the proper things, you can quiet that crowd down and don't let the crowd get into it. And hopefully that's what we could do.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I also want the fans to know is that today, talking to some of the players, this is not something that any of them are fearful about. You also have to remember the fact that, again, it was a noon game, but many of the players who are on this current team right now have played in that atmosphere before and have won in that atmosphere before back in 2021. It's not something they're afraid of. It's something they're excited for. And I actually think we should play a couple of those shots right now.
You want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's let people hear what the players had to say.
Let's do it. Fire away.
I'm pretty sure everybody's excited. I'm excited because I know how hostile they can be. Their crowd is legitimately 5 feet from us, so it's going to be fun to hear them chirp, but as long as we play our game, we're going to be fine.
So we played there 2 years ago, I believe it was, and obviously it was loud then, but that was a noon game, I think, or sometime during the day. And I've heard at night, my dad obviously still talks about it. He's been to games there, he saw it on TV growing up, but just the environment is it's one of those environments like Florida State where you dream about playing in and playing a night game and sold out crowd, and it's exciting. Obviously, we got to be prepared. It's going to be loud. It's more so affects the offense, right? So not going to be loud when we're on defense for their offense to concentrate, but it's going to be exciting playing in front of for sure.
Those are the games that you really play for, especially, got a pretty even matchup, and they got a good squad, but that environment, especially a night game on a Thursday night, it's going to be ecstatic, if that's the right word, with my limited vocabulary. But, it's going to be fun. It's exciting, and it was fun last time. We came out on top and try to go do that again this week.
So again, interesting reaction there, and you can tell no fear, pure excitement. And another thing at player availability that stuck out to me, this was on Tuesday, is the fact that when we asked, what was it about the bye week that was the most important thing, or what stuck out to you? A lot of people are asking about strategies and what's changing and what will be different. Every single person said health, wellness. I needed a break from the players, or I needed a break from the coaches, or I just needed some time away. Damian Alford went back to Canada. A couple guys went to watch a Cornell game. And I think that everybody has to understand that that matters. And Dino knew it. I mean, when you spoke with him, he kind of said the same, a sentiment that was similar to that.
He did. And he went as far as saying, he's like, it's not just a break from, the everyday, grind of being a college football player. He's like, they need time away from us. Yeah. He's like, because I'm sure players need that. You just need that, because you're with these people 24/7, right? And so to have that time away, I'm sure is very refreshing.
But, another side of it too as well. I mean, if you're winning, do you really want to go home?
Right? Or do you want to lose that progress that you have, right?
Lose that momentum. So either way, you can spin it either way. But obviously, with what happened over the past few weeks, they need to rest. Mm-hmm. You get totally 100% see. Schrader definitely needs to get healthy, rest up a little bit, and the whole team, the offensive linemen, like you said. So they will have some guys coming back and be a lot more healthier. But again, you still have to play that game.
Still got to play that game. Now we're going to bring in Ashley Winskowski. She interviews, as we do every week, the play-by-play of the opposing team. So here's Ashley with the voice of the Hokies.
I'm Ashley Winskowski, joined by Bill Roth, voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies, Syracuse's opponent this week after their bye week. Bill, thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to be with you, Ashley.
Bill, you are a Syracuse grad yourself. You graduated from Newhouse in the late 80s, correct? And that was just an entirely different era of Syracuse football.
That was the Coach Mack era. And and the magic of the Carrier Dome was just getting going way back then. And really good teams. Donnie McPherson was fantastic. And so many great memories. It was a great coaching staff that Coach Mack had back then. Great administration with Jake Krauthamel, really football-centric, even though the men's basketball team went to the Final Four my senior year with Coach Mack. But the focus on football was really, really solid back then. And Coach Mack did an amazing job, and then Coach Pasqualoni after him.
It was really a different era, so to speak, inside the Dome. But we want to talk a little bit of Virginia Tech going into this week's matchup. And I wanted to just get a broad takeaway from you to start. Through, the first half of the season and even beyond, what are really some of your takeaways from this Virginia Tech team?
Well, changing quarterbacks made a big difference. Kyron Drones has given the Hokies offense a completely different vibe and feel. He's been a prolific passer. He was responsible for 5 touchdowns in the Pitt game. He threw for 300 and something yards against Wake Forest and ran for 2 touchdowns. And so he's only started 5 games. So he doesn't have a lot of experience, but you can see why they liked him so much, why he won a state championship in Texas as a high school player. He played for his dad. You can tell that he's the son of a coach, all those intangibles. And all that he's really lacking is experience. So the Hokies started 1-3. September was bad. They make a change at quarterback, and they look like a different team.
Now, this, as you mentioned, is a team that started off a little bit slow out of the gate and then did pick up a couple of conference wins against some teams that Syracuse has yet to see on their schedule in Wake Forest and Pitt. But they also gave Florida State a run for their money. What is your takeaway from how they've been faring in the last couple of weeks versus the beginning of the season?
Well, defensively, they gave up a lot of big plays in losses to Rutgers and Purdue and Marshall. But those were non-conference games, and it's almost as if once league play started, it was a different team. Florida State, it was a tight game in the third quarter, and then Florida State flipped a switch, as that team can do, and Jordan Travis did his thing, as he can do, and they ended up pulling away in the second half. But yeah, it was a tight game there for a while. I think at home, as a very young team, Virginia Tech plays better. Not that that's not true with every team, but I think with so many young players, which is what they really have, the majority of their guys are sophomores or younger. They clearly play with a lot more confidence on their home field.
Now, Virginia Tech, like you mentioned, is kind of one of those teams that is more equivalent to Syracuse in terms of the ACC conversation. You know, you got those top teams in UNC, Florida State, and then you have some teams like Virginia Tech and like Syracuse that are gonna, the ceiling might be 6 wins, 7 wins, and a bowl game. How do you feel about the Hokies' chances going into a bowl game this year?
Well, after September, I would have said slim, because they were 1-3, and they didn't look like a bowl team. And I'm not so sure they still can get there. That's why I think this game Thursday night for Virginia Tech is really huge. And here's the reason: if Virginia Tech does win this game, then they're 3-1 in the conference and 4-4 in the league going into November, with a schedule with Boston College and Virginia and NC State at home. You can see where they could win 2 more games and get to 6. So the road is harder to get to 6 wins when you start 1-3. But again, I think Drones at quarterback has made a difference. His statistics may not jump out at you, but he hasn't turned the ball over but once. He has 1 interception. He's made some really, really big plays. He's a winning kid. As I mentioned earlier, they won a state championship in Texas at the highest level. He signed with Baylor after a big recruiting battle in Texas, but he was going to be the backup, and he transferred to Virginia Tech to play. And that's what's happened now is that after the first few weeks, they've made the move to Drones, which was really caused because Grant Wells got hurt. But once we saw what Drones could do, I think it's clearly that they've created the offense, or at least they're calling the offensive plays that suit his skill set.
Would you say the switch at quarterback is the primary reason for Virginia Tech kind of turning things around recently?
Yeah, I think so, because what it's allowed them to do now, when you have a quarterback who can run, all of a sudden it's opened up some lanes for the running backs. It makes the defense, it keeps the defense honest, that type of thing. And so I think that without question, having an athletic running quarterback, kind of similar to Schrader, right? It makes the defense honest. Not that Wells couldn't run with the football, but you couldn't expect him to go get you an 80-yard, 90-yard game, which was what Kyron Drones can do.
Yeah, we know just how valuable that kind of dual threat thing at quarterback is with Garrett Schrader. You mentioned before the atmosphere at home for the Hokies and, the Orange going into Blacksburg this Thursday night, a little bit of a different schedule this week. How do you feel the environment really helps Virginia Tech win?
I think it depends on the other team and its experience, and it depends on the other team's offensive coordinator and that coordinator's ability to be patient. And the reason I say that, having watched a lot of SU Virginia Tech games at Lane Stadium and a lot of games over the years, Lane Stadium at night is a different animal. It's a combination of a rave and a mosh pit and a European soccer game and a college football game. They're singing, they're swaying, and the singing doesn't stop. And even this year, every home game has been sold out. And even last year, there were only 2 teams in America that lost 8 games and averaged over 65,000 fans per game, Virginia Tech and Nebraska. And that's not a list you want to be on, but it does show that they're going to come out. It doesn't matter who they play, and it doesn't matter what their record is. Tech fans are there, and they're very much participants in the game, not spectators. And I think they made a big impact in the Pitt game, and they made a very big impact in the Wake game. But Syracuse has won at Lane Stadium before, and they've played well at places like Clemson. And so visiting teams that are okay with a 0-0 first quarter, who are coached by patient offensive coordinators, seem to do better. The teams that seem to struggle on the road at Lane Stadium are the coordinators that come in and want to throw the ball all over the yard in the first 2 or 3 possessions. And then there's a sack or 2, and then there's an interception, and then this avalanche of noise. And it's happened to Syracuse. I know you could probably go back and look. There have been some games at Lane Stadium where some like really good Syracuse teams got beat 62-0 and 51-7. And you go, well, how can that possibly happen? And I think the momentum of the crowd gets to people. I don't know that there was ever that big of a difference between the teams, but I think that can happen. But I think visiting teams, when they come in, and I've heard other coordinators say this, like a punt is okay as the visiting team, because you don't want to be down 21-0 in the first quarter and then try to come back. But Syracuse has won at Lane Stadium in the Big East and in the ACC. They know how to win, and they've played well at Clemson. So that's why I think this will be a really, really tight game.
Yeah, we will see how it all plays out down there this week. Now, I wanted to get into that with you matchup wise. How do you feel these two teams compare, and what is your prediction for this game, so to speak?
Well, I do think it'll be close, and not to sound like a coach, but if whoever makes the more mistakes, whoever turns it over or has a special team miscue gets beat, probably. And doesn't that sound like something a coach would say?
It does.
And the reason I say that is if you just look at the track record, especially in the series, Virginia Tech can't win in the Dome either. It's just been one of those things where really good Virginia Tech teams go to the Dome and get beat. And really good Syracuse teams come to Blacksburg, and you see unusual plays where a freshman long snapper sends a snap over the punter's head through the end zone, right? Things that don't happen anywhere else happen, and they do seem to happen at night, especially on Thursday nights. It's just a wild and crazy thing. Classes will be canceled as usual because it's a Thursday game. The tailgate parties will start noon on Wednesday. So It will be a well-hydrated crowd, if you know what I mean. And it's a lot of fun. The Virginia Tech isn't what it was, when it was Mike Vick going up against Dwight Freeney. This isn't Coach Mack versus Coach Beamer with an Orange Bowl bid on the line with 15 NFL guys on both sides, because that's what we had, right? I mean, people that are longtime SU fans are nodding their head going, yeah, I remember that. Like there were 30 guys, 30 NFL players in the game.
Right.
And I don't know if coaches want to get back to that, right? I mean, Coach Babers, Coach Pry, they want to get to the point where your biggest concern is, are my best players leaving for the NFL after this season? Not can we get a couple of players that are good enough to win? And I think that's where the programs are right now. They played really good games. When SU beat some of really good Tech teams, they would storm the field at the Dome. Just some really vivid memories of those games. And the home team has had the advantage in this series for sure.
Right. Aside from the Hokies being at home, as someone who knows Syracuse football probably a little bit better than, your average play-by-play guy around the league, what are the keys for the Hokies if they're going to win this game?
Well, they're going to have to be physical. So the one common opponent is Purdue. So if you watch how Purdue blocked Virginia Tech, they moved them off the ball pretty well. They ran the ball. And so Purdue played it really smart. Purdue's offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell, has been at Lane Stadium before. He was at West Virginia last year. He was really conservative, and he just pounded it, and hoped eventually to bust a few big ones, and he did. But what you saw as the game went on is Purdue was the more physical team. The next game, Syracuse did the same thing at Purdue. And so I think if you watch the two Purdue tapes, you would come away saying Syracuse is more physical than Virginia Tech. And clearly, if you just watch those two games, I think the difference now is that Drones is a quarterback for the Hokies, and they're playing with a little bit more confidence. But I think that it really comes down to not turning the ball over. It really does, because I think when Virginia Tech has played hot potato with the football and put it on the ground, they've had a hard time overcoming that because of their team. So because of the youth of the team. So I would say keep an eye on turnover margin, and I'm sure I would bet the mortgage that Syracuse is going to try to play a really physical football game, just like it did at Purdue, because of what Purdue did in Blacksburg already this season.
Right. And it's a rested Syracuse team as well, coming off their bye week, which I'm sure will be a factor. Last kind of question for you here. As far as Virginia Tech goes, the rest of the season beyond this matchup, what is your floor and your ceiling for this team this year?
Well, that's why I think this game is kind of a swing game for the Hokies. If they win it, they're 3-1 in the league, and they'll take a 4-4 record going into November in second place in the conference. That was something that you could have never even imagined in September. After watching them play, they were 1-3.
Right.
But they were 3 non-conference losses. And so that's the difference. Clemson has 3 losses. They're all in the league. SU has 3 losses. They're all in the league.
Yep.
Whereas, a loss to Purdue in a game at Rutgers, that doesn't hurt the Hokies in the ACC. It hurts their overall record. But the team that Pry has now, it's not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. So the floor, they could lose out. The ceiling, they could win 4 more games and end up in a really good bowl.
Hey, great interview with Bill Roth. Really appreciate him making the time as we get ready for Blacksburg, but it's time for our game picks. Let's get right into it. So last time out, everyone, I'm reading this right off the page, except Mungro, who is recovering from an illness, picked SU at FSU correctly.
Technically.
Yeah. So if you were here,
I was not.
We should have. We should have an asterisk there. I'm okay with giving you a game.
Seriously?
I'm okay with giving you a 5.
He didn't
but
know.
I want the
You
asterisk
didn't
in
send
there.
One in.
No, he definitely
was
gets
on
that.
his deathbed.
It's not going to alter the he's still in good standing. Remember, it's total percentage of wins. It actually helps him. It helps him actually.
Sam's doing very well against the spread. She's 4-1. Ashley 2-3. James 2-2. I am doing atrocious. I'm 2-4.
You're in your feelings, Tom.
But I'm 6-1 overall. So still a winner at the end of the day. Game picks. I know Sam's already. Hit us with it.
I don't know if I feel sick. I feel sick right now.
This was a really.
Did you eat too many blueberries last night?
It was a really hard one. Spread, by the way, is 3 in this one. Over under, for what it's worth, is 47. And to me, I'll say this: if Syracuse's offense can get going, I think that over probably hits.
Over? How many points did we score
47.
the past 3 weeks?
Average
Somebody
of 8.
else go first.
Okay.
I can't do it.
I'll go
I need
first.
All right, go ahead.
I'll step up to the plate.
Yeah.
I'll step up.
Go ahead, big batter. Go ahead, Bryce Harper.
I would have to say I'm going to go with Syracuse by 3 points.
Syracuse by 3.
Yes.
Can you give me a score?
Not yet. I guess Sam has to go.
Why? What's your reasoning? What's your restored faith you're thinking?
It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah.
I bleed orange blood, and it's just hard for me to go against them. And this is a game that they are capable of winning if they have their stuff together.
Yep.
The team has lost games already, Virginia Tech, and it's going to be a tough, rugged atmosphere down at Lane Stadium. But I think by the week off, they're back to normal and hopefully get this ball going again.
This has been I've had a serious, horrible time picking this game because, like I mentioned in the past, I was riding them till I had a reason not to, and I was going against them till I had a reason to switch that around. So that's what hurts here because I do have faith. I think they can win this and bring it back, but until I see something different from the last 3 weeks, I have to go with Virginia Tech in this one. But I will say, and I know I've said it for 2 weeks now, I think we finally see that improvement on offense. And I think it's the break. I think it's just not going against one of those other defenses, but I think things are going to improve. I think Syracuse is getting well into the 20s, and we're going to go with, maybe like 28-27. I think this could be a heartbreaker, but we see some improvements. And again, until I see something differently, I have to go get
Have
some.
you been stressing like this the whole time since we've been talking? Like
So,
really,
well, you want
like
to know what the crazy thing is?
I look back over it and you have the same face. Like,
Well, because look at my record. I mean, again, you guys had to understand something. Like, coming into this year, I am the reigning champion. There's a lot at stake here for me.
different year.
That's my point.
She's a humble champion too.
Clearly. But the crazy thing is, I already sent Brendon my pick. And I just don't know if I can. Like,
You don't
stick
even
to
trust it?
I just don't know if I can commit to it. I'm gonna just tell you the bullet points of what I said to him, because I still think all of this is true. I just think that one thing is gonna change based on what I said.
And how are you sending your picks early? I mean, I thought we were supposed to be doing all this stuff right here.
It's a Thursday game.
So there's this thing we posted on the web. That's why. So there's a little blurb that I had to
I
send.
still want to know. I want equal playing field.
Okay.
Equal playing field.
All right, listen, after hearing the player availability, I realized a couple things. The bye week, I do think, has changed this team for the better. They sounded energized. They sounded refreshed. I think most importantly, Garrett Schrader seemed very rejuvenated. I think you're going to see a healthier version of him. I think he's going to run the ball more. I think you're going to see that Purdue style, the style that we're all kind of used to seeing from him. I think he's ready to run more. Coaches are ready to let him run. And I also think, even though it's an away game, this is a place that Syracuse has played in before and won in before. So you really would think, for all those reasons, and knowing how important this game is to Syracuse, that this would be the game and should be the game that they have to win.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to will my mindset to think it, and I put in my email that they're going to win 21-17.
Stick with it. Stick with it.
No, I can't. I can't do it. I'm either going to regret this 100% or I'm going to be happy I said it, but I'm being honest. I've been weaning on it all day.
Putting up a marker for us to clip this later when Sam regrets it. If Sam regrets it.
Yeah. For the thumbnail. I'm so sorry. I am sticking with my same score, but I am going to say that Virginia Tech is going to win this game 21-17. It's just intuition. I can't will myself to
I feel like
say
I just watched the final vote on Survivor. Then you had to vote off your best friend on the island.
Or The Last Rose, one of those shows.
Yeah.
Like, this is so bad.
Man.
You're watching.
Sorry.
Well, what did you
Prove me
switch to?
wrong.
What's your new score?
My score is still 21-17.
But it's flip-flopped.
Yeah, but I'm going to flip-flop it. I'm going to say Virginia Tech, and I will send it a new
So offense still some issues then?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Well, you just said Schrader was healthy and everything goes through Schrader. So I'm about to change my pick because of the confidence you have in Schrader.
If you're listening, Sam is in. I've never seen Sam so stressed out. Wow, that was a lot.
No, listen. I just think, the thumbnail's going to be like 3 different versions of me.
Yeah.
The here, the sad. No. Listen, at the end of the day, I really did. I thought about it all day. I do think that they can win this game, and I think that this is one of the most important games of the year for them at this point. I think it's going to depend on how the rest of the season goes, and I want them to win, but I'm just not going to predict it.
Awesome.
Just not going to put your money on it.
I'm not going to put money on either one.
You're the only one who didn't give a score.
Well, you know something, Brandon, from hearing this great speech from Samantha here, I'm changing. I'm going to have to change because she said Garrett Schrader is looking good and he's doing, he's
healthy.
What
was your score going to be the first time?
Well, I changed it in my head. Okay, mentally I changed it. So
Mungro always has to listen to me before he decides
to
to
spit it out there.
So
man.
I'm going to spit out. I'm going to spit out right now. I'm going a little bit higher now. See, I got a little confidence.
What was the first one going to be?
It's none of your. It's none of
The first one was
going
to be 24-20.
Okay.
But that's 4 points.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to score. Now you got me all flustered.
I know. No, he's gonna use my speech against me.
So
This is a
look,
breakdown
this
of
is what I'm
minds
gonna
here.
do 28-21.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Syracuse.
One of us is gonna be sorry. I don't know who's gonna be.
28-21.
Oh
All right.
man.
I will just say, I did pick this as the likely conference upset pick
likely
before the
conference
season
upset.
started.
As in
SU gets upset.
SU gets upset.
But it
well,
wouldn't really
not
be
an
an
upset
upset.
anymore.
Wouldn't be an
Brandon.
upset.
Not an upset anymore.
No,
Man.
I mean it wouldn't. But at the beginning of the season, I didn't think Virginia Tech would be as okay as they are.
Feisty as they are. Interesting. Yeah. Hey, I hate to do this, but duty calls. Got another job going on. I'm going to let you guys handle trivia and a little bit of hoops.
Oh, you're going to like this question
yes.
too.
I have to head down to Cornell.
I'll answer for him.
Okay.
Next week,
yes.
give me a call because I want to honestly, I want to match too.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I want to do
all
that.
right.
Okay.
Done and done.
Okay.
Done and done.
Okay.
All right. Make sure we're texting about that.
Okay.
All right. Go get him, guys.
Okay.
Take this man down.
All right.
we got
Take
it.
this
You're
man
not
down.
going to. This is a great question, by the way. I think you guys are going to love this. Bye, Tommy.
Bye, Blueberry. All right, let's go.
So the ACC boasts two of the most iconic hype songs in college football. Enter Sandman and Notre Dame's I'm Shipping Up to Boston. Name the artists who performed them and the number of years between their respective release dates.
Come on.
He's going to be late, but he's going to do it.
Metallica and Dropkick Murphys. I'm out.
And the release dates?
The release dates?
The years between the release.
Metallica's going to be, and
I'm gonna let him handle Metallica.
Oh, you really serious?
You don't need
about Jay-Z or
James,
something.
real quick. You don't need both release dates. I need the difference in terms of years between them.
I would say I prefer to go with like the release, like the year.
If you want to go with the actual years of the release, that's fine. Like you can do that. It'll just make it harder.
But 92, 93.
Do you have one for Shipping Up to Boston?
I haven't heard that song before, so
it's
You never heard that
song? You've never heard that?
I heard that song at a Boston Red Sox playoff game that they ended up winning because Big Papi hit a grand slam in the 8th inning. Honestly, one of the most electric moments of my entire life.
That was the Twins one, right?
Torrey
Hunter goes over the wall.
That was like the game that I went to was in 2014. It was a playoff game.
Maybe not that one then.
Honestly, I think the Metallica was like in the 90s.
All right, you go with that.
In the 90s.
You take that one. I'll say Shipping. Yeah, I honestly, I really don't know. That seems like a really old song, but I'm going to go like early 2000s, like 03. I have literally no idea.
So you've given me like no specific year here, and the
we'll
point
we'll say 6 between 6 years between
6 years between.
Or no. It's going to be bigger than that.
It's going to be bigger than that.
I just know it.
Metallica's early. 12 years.
Yeah, 12.
12 years.
You guys seem pretty confident in that. Metallica.
I never even heard the other song you just said about the...
Yes, you have.
Okay.
You have heard that song.
You have. We'll play it for you at some
We'll play
point.
it for you after the podcast. Enter Sandman was released in 1991.
So that was actually pretty close.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. That's at least a half a point.
I'm Shipping Up to Boston. 2005. 14 years.
Dude, we were pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close.
All right.
See, like I'm older, so I knew the Metallica.
No, that's
she's
why I said I think
younger.
you had a chance. Yeah.
Nice.
I can't believe you say you haven't heard Shipping Up to Boston.
I mean, I probably heard it, but I just don't. I just don't have it on my playlist.
You should. It's a great hype song.
Okay.
If I want to hear a hype song, I'm gonna listen to Lil Jon. Point blank.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I like that.
That's gonna get me hype. Lil Jon.
Listen.
Shipping to Boston. I mean, you can't play Lil. Well, yeah, you do play Lil Jon.
Wait. Is Lil Jon? Get ready to get messed up. Let's do it.
That one.
Yeah.
Lil Jon.
Keep
All
going.
I'm alcoholic.
Yeah.
Let me see your hands up. Let's go. Ba-da-da-da.
That's that. I mean, that's Lil Jon, but that's not really the song I was.
That's not like OG Lil Jon.
I try to make sure. Anyway, let's move on. Let's wrap it up. Little keeping up with Syracuse basketball to finish it off. Judah Mintz named to the watch list for the Bob. Is it Brendon? Help me out here. Cousy Award, according to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. The award goes to the nation's top point guard. We also have Chance Westry. He's sidelined indefinitely with an injury. So that part not great, but listen, Judah Mintz, the fact that he's returning, at least to me, that's one of the most exciting things about this upcoming basketball season.
It's going to be really exciting. Like we said last week, the new head coach, 7-footer now, Judah Mintz, the team coming back, playing against other guys in ACC. It's going to be really exciting. I think the fan base is going to go up higher.
100%. We're all looking forward to it. I want to add one last note. Today was also one of the first times we were able to speak with the Syracuse men's lacrosse team.
Okay.
So heard some interesting things from them. One of the biggest things that stuck out to me, they talked a lot about having a sports psychologist who they've brought in. It's the second year with the team. I don't know. I thought maybe you would have like just one beat on this. I think it's interesting to think about for athletes across all sports, the mental component. I mean, they were saying this guy has like really worked wonders for them, being able to just talk out some of the things that were going on. I'm not sure if that was something that like you had access to when you were playing in the NFL.
No. I mean, we really didn't.
It's really a new thing.
It's really a new thing, and I think it's great for the kids because people don't realize that you know, and even as fans, that these kids are not just athletes. You know, they have their whole life ahead of them. Families that are far away from them, not locally. A lot of stuff going on in their life. So I think that support is actually excellent. And I think high schools should have that as well, because it's something that's all still is helping. It's not hurting, it's helping.
100%. Love it all. Love mental health resources across the board. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. This has been the Orange Zone podcast. Tommy Sladek no longer with us. James Mungro, Brendon Hodges on the producer mic. I'm Samantha Croston. We'll see you next time.
Peace.